Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're already a subscriber, if you're not, consider subscribing the channel. And why not tell your friends, help us. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video too, that helps us with the YouTube algorithm. I'm Fausto Botelho, broadcasting from Brazil, and here we use our experience, a long time experience, dates back to 1977, it dates 77, it dates our experience in technical analysis. And we use that and try to extract logical indications about the future behavior of the crypto prices. Nowadays, we're talking a lot about the stock markets too, because you guys that follow me in the channel know that I've been forecasting a crash in the US stock markets. And that's going to affect the whole world, because I think the whole world is going to lose a third of its wealth. Yes, because they're going to recognize that they thought they had a wealth, they had a wealth that it just doesn't exist, because it's just numbers in the price of the stocks. And as all the portfolios in the world relate to the S&P 500, and as long as I think the S&P is losing a third of its value, so all the assets of the world, I think, are going to lose similar. So today is just a quick update to show you that the market gave a very important indication today, telling us that it is really behaving by the book in terms of establishing a bear market. And if that bear market is established with the broke of the support between the two tops of what I suppose is going to be called a double top, then I think there's a very big chance that this bear market turns into a crash. That would mean the S&P fall something like a third, 30-some%. And that, of course, would affect the crypto space. I think, and I've been saying that for a while already, that in the first moment, Bitcoin might suffer. Later on, the medium term, I think Bitcoin might be perceived as a store of value, and then it might go up. But in the beginning, I think Bitcoin is going to suffer. But Bitcoin has already suffered and has already crashed. So maybe whenever the bear market is established, maybe people are going to be thinking very seriously on getting into the boat of an asset class that has only, and I'm going to be showing you coin market cap here, market cap of $128 billion. This is just nothing compared to the trillions that are in the stock market. So if a tiny little bit of the trillions of the market come into the crypto space, there won't be room for not even a tiny bit of the tiny bit that is coming. So market will have to double, triple its market cap in order to receive any little money that might be coming from other sources, right? So let's go into the charts and let's take a look. Now, this is not the US market. This is Brazil that just produces a bull trap. Let's go to the S&P and see how bad it looks, the reversal that the market had. Let's just remember that I'm basing my forecast that we're starting a bear market because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So far we've had 3 movements upward, 3 upward movements. This looks very much like a double top. The second top produced a bull trap, which is a very bearish indication. market flagged in the long-term trend line, flagged down, then went up, made a pullback to the former support trend line, came down, and now it tried to go there, and it didn't even reach the last two tops. It reversed and produced us with these beautiful key reversal day. So I think it's headed to test this support, and if this support is broken, well, we're probably going to be breaking the low between the two tops, and then we're going to be able to project an objective that would be this height. Oh, sorry, I have a problem pronouncing height. This height here, which would take the prices to for a fall of approximately 16%, but the 33% that I'm saying the market should lose actually comes from Fibonacci traced in here. So first correction level of Fibonacci would be here. So from nowadays the market would actually, if correcting the first level of Fibonacci, 34%, which is the third dimension. So that's it. Very, very bad, very bearish, very ugly, the markets. Now that's the Dow Jones. That's the Dow indexed. Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you that we were seeing the S&P indexed by the CPI, which means I've taken inflation out of the S&P. Inflation is considerable. If we just measure inflation from 2009 on, I have inflation here, which is the CPI index. From 2009 on, we have already some inflation. Look at that. Let's start here in the beginning of 2009 until today. We have 20% inflation. Okay, 20, almost 21% inflation. So that's been taken out. But of course, if we come from 1950, when that starts, when the S&P starts, it would mean a 970% inflation. Now, the Dow Jones, we got it from 1913. So we're talking about 105 years of inflation would be approximately, exactly 2,510% from 2013 until today. So we take that inflation out too. So this, the Dow Jones chart that I'm showing here is without inflation. And you see that there's a whole new perspective for this chart, deflated, right? And of course, we're looking at a log chart, because if you take the log, there's nothing to analyze. So always looking at charts, especially if you're looking at a high volatility or a longer term in which the prices have oscillated a lot. You have to look at with log charts, right? So we see also a double top, and it is also ugly. The market didn't broke the long-term support line, but it is showing us that it will fail to produce another top here. In beginning of October 3 actually, it was a top. My birthday, yeah, I was. That was my birthday gift, a top in the Dow Jones. Well, that's because I could easily forecast it, right? Because it's very clear here that was a top because of these. Well, this was a top because of the shooting star or a dodgy star and evening star and abandoned baby, whatever you want to call these reversal pattern, candlestick pattern. So that's it, my friends. We're going to see Bitcoin in a second, and I want to show you two indicators here. The first one is oil. The oil prices. No, the first one is the the interest rates in the US, as we can see here in the US 10 years. Well, I've been forecasting that this was going up, but I have to recognize now that I eventually was wrong, because if the market comes back, I could always come back, but it's giving us a lot of indications that it will not. So the US is lowering its interest rates. They're not increasing their interest rates. Maybe that last run up was because of the idea that the Fed President Powell was going to increase it more aggressively. Now with the dovish policy, maybe you're selling here. We can see a double top here. The market broke that and broke especially these support lines here. So if we draw a Fibonacci levels here, there is a lot for the market to come down. Lot for the markets to come down. Maybe the Fed willing to hold the bearish market, but I don't know. I think that a bearish market brings bearish news. We see it in the market, in the charts before, because the charts reflect the action of the insiders, and you might agree with me that there's a lot of insiders in the US and all over the world eventually, right? So I wanted to show you that, and I want to show you too the oil prices. Oil prices have already had their crash. I'm showing you WTI in New York here, and we had a reaction of this bear market, but today I think we had a reversal already. So we're taking a look at that. Maybe the market just came up to fill this gap, and it's coming further down. But the important thing is that oil is giving us a clear message that it is not oil, that is a leading commodity indicator, is telling us that there's not going to be an expansion, economic expansion. By the contrary, it's telling us that there might we might be in the eve of in the dawn of a financial contraction, which I think is what the possible bear market and the possible crash are showing us. So let's move to Bitcoin now, and let me tell you that the market reacted here in this projection that I made, which is this swing projection from the first downward trend here starting in December last year, 3,600. But I think, and I'm showing you the daily chart here. I wanted to show you the weekly chart. I think we're seeing just unfortunately, I think we're seeing just unfortunately or fortunate for those who actually followed our advice and enter into true USD or Tether or whatever stable coin related to the dollar, or whatever other fiat currency, right? So stepping out of Bitcoin would mean that if Bitcoin falls, you're going to be able to buy more Bitcoins, right? And as we're thinking on the Bitcoin standard, that's a very wise policy, I suppose. That's the policy I'm adopting, and I'm very happy with that because with this fall, one could increase its Bitcoins considerably. So back to the daily chart, I just want to comment that so far what I'm seeing here in terms of accumulation is a symmetrical triangle, or there's another name in English for that, which I forgot. But you better know, because if you're going to do an exam, international examination in either IFTA, International Federation of Technical Analysis, or the Market Technicians Association, you better know that name. But I'll remember eventually. So a symmetrical triangle is an accumulation that would a continuation accumulation that would continue the previous downward movement towards, who knows, maybe towards 3,000, right? So we'll keep an eye on that, and that's it. So let's now take a quick look at the principal 20 cryptocurrencies. I'm ordering these and I'm putting them all in daily chart and want to show you that Bitcoin Cash broke very specific, very important support, which means it is probably going to test its all-time low. Bitcoin Cash is doing a flag, a downward flag. I think it's also coming down. Binance Coin rocketed up today. I couldn't find why, but and it didn't give us any clues on what it was doing. You know, it just started to go up. Yeah, well, actually today in midday it flagged up, but also well, it was a flag, but you know we had this reversal pattern here, a evening star, which you know would hold people from getting in, and then all of a sudden it raises another 2.9%, and then you know the stop starts being very far from where the price that you could eventually try to buy Binance. But we'll keep an eye on that. Bitcoin we've seen so far. Cardano just broke a resistance. Cardano just made, what am I doing here? Cardano just broke a downward flag that was happening after this important support at 1,000 satoshis was broken. So we're projecting it to 700 satoshis. Dash is going to test its all-time low. EOS, we've recommended EOS some days ago. Here's EOS, our recommendation, our call, our downward call. Let me put it in the daily chart. We recommended it when it broke this, not only this downward flag that we thought was a downward flag. The initial stop was 7.7 away from the price we sold, which is this red horizontal line here. But the market was also breaking the support line and confirming that we were seeing a symmetrical triangle. The projection is here at 53,000 satoshis. And that's EOS. And why did, yeah, okay. So next one is Ethereum, which seems to be drifting. So maybe Ethereum is going to recap. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that we're seeing all these charts and these coins quoted in Bitcoin. We think on the Bitcoin standard here. We want to increase our Bitcoins, so we trade in coins quoted in Bitcoin. Whenever a coin is supposed to go higher, it means that it will eventually outperform Bitcoin. And if we buy it, we're going to sell it at a higher Bitcoin price. So we're going to increase our Bitcoins, right? That's it. So IOTA is testing this descending triangle. I think it's also coming down and probably testing its all-time low here, November last year. Litecoin is actually testing this resistance line with all this fuzz and war between Bitcoin cashes, both Bitcoin cashes. Maybe Litecoin might be a choice for people to, you know, make fast transactions and so on. So it's testing here, it's doing sort of a rectangle, so we're keeping an eye on that. Eventually we'll be issuing a call for an uptrend. Monero is still testing its support line. We were long in Monero, we recommended, but our stop was below this level here. We recommended it in here. It was in the in November 27. But yesterday we were stopped out, and unfortunately, but we're keeping an eye on that, keeping an eye on this resistance line here, and that we're going to be following in the 60 minutes chart, and beautiful, very, very nice resistance line, right? Showing the 60-minute chart, the hourly chart. Whenever that breaks, eventually we wait for a upward flag here in the testing of this resistance level. And whenever it breaks the flag, the upward flag, we get in. NEM is promising because it broke this resistance line, and it's going up, but no clues we didn't have a timing for entering or suggesting a position yet. NEOS testing its all-time low, and it drift, and now it's transforming this accumulation in what, maybe a inverted head and shoulders in the hourly chart. Let's take a look. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Yeah, we better take a look at these probable neckline here, right? It would be over here, and it's flagging up, so eventually NEO is going to be a good choice for us if this upward flag confirms, and we see the market above these 19,600. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 0.001960. Too many numbers for Satoshi's. Ripple apparently is making only a correction. I thought we would be calling that a flag, but no, it's not a flag. Too long for a flag. And we're keeping an eye on that. Stellar promises but doesn't deliver what it promises. It broke a very nice symmetrical triangle, made a pullback, a first pullback, a second pullback, and now it's eventually willing to touch the line for the third time. But we're keeping an eye on it as well. Tron is apparently flagging up in these sideways accumulation here. That might be a triple bottom or something because of this resemblance of a upward trend, right? Now, that's the opposite of Bitcoin. This is true USD, what we've been recommending, and it gave us a lot of happiness. And we can see here that it is apparently only a symmetrical triangle, but someone is going to say, hey Fausto, aren't we seeing a head and shoulders here? Well, eventually, if this support line is broken, but you see it hasn't been. So as we're in an uptrend, and as we had eventually a first movement, I think the odds are for it to continue, for this accumulation to continue the previous movement. So I'm working with the possibility that Bitcoin is on a symmetrical triangle that is going to continue its downtrend towards 3,000 maybe, and that also, through USD will eventually come up. The close of today is probably going to give us some tip. If it closes near the highs, there's still another 2 hours, almost 2 hours to the close, right? It's 10 o'clock now, 10:15 here in Brazil is 8:15, 2 hours less, and so this is it. And last but not least, VeChain testing its all-time low, no indications. Zcash is in the sideways movement. is in the sideways, has been always in the sideways, but eventually it's testing what could be a descending triangle. So lower tops and here lows in the same level. So we're watching it for eventually call a, and that's it. Well, thank you very much for having watched the video until now. Appreciate it very much. If you like me to comment about something, write it down in comments. I usually answer all the comments. And I'll see you next time. Ciao.